So my guest today is someone that I totally adore, and it's not just because of all his immense talent. Kim Coates is a Saskatchewan-born actor who is best known for his roles in Sons of Anarchy, Bad Blood, Prison Break, as well as Canadian films like Ferocious, Hollywood North, and Michael Dowse's sports comedy, Goon, both parts 1 and 2. He's also done a lot of theater, including A Streetcar Named Desire on Broadway as the infamous Stanley Kowalski, Macbet at the Stratford Shakespeare Festival, and most recently, after a 30-year theatrical hiatus, in the Canadian premiere of Jazz Butterworth's Jerusalem as the explosive lead character of Rooster. And to say explosive is not really an understatement. It's definitely, or not an overstatement. I mean, that character is, wow. I don't even know how you do it every day.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Can you hear me okay with my buds on here?
I can hear you with your buds on. Pretty good.
With my Detroit Red Wing, even though they're not in the playoffs, little bud colors on. Hi, Catherine. How are you?
Good. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. So
yeah. Thanks for having me. I mean, we were just talking before we went live here how you are and how I am. I mean, it's been, you follow me on Twitter and stuff, and I'm a fan, you're a fan. I escaped America, and I mean that literally mid-March when this whole COVID thing started around the world, really. And lucky enough to be obviously Canadian boy, Canadian proud. And I've got a few humble abodes. I'm in one of them here in Western Canada. I got another abode in Toronto, but I'm hiding out here in Western Canada, and it's been a weird 4.5 months, but I'm healthy. My kids are healthy. My wife's healthy. You're healthy. So at least we have that in this ever-changing world.
Have to be grateful for what we've got. What have you been, it's obviously difficult especially for people who make movies and TV shows and theater. How have you been keeping sort of your creative edge alive?
I'm a gardener now, Catherine. I'm a gardener.
It has come to that.
It's come to that. If I could turn this thing around, I've got it taped to a bunch of books. I'm outside here. I'd show you my incredible garden here. No, I'm not kidding. I'm a freaking gardener. I mean, who knew? Look, I mean, I've had a really good run. I'm old. I've had a good run. I'm good. I'm lucky. I've worked hard. I really feel for the kids. I really feel for the people who are in theater. I really feel for the directors and the musicals and the plays, and all of TV has been shut down, although I did go back to work, which I'll talk to you about in a bit, just last week in this new COVID rules world we live in. But no, I mean, how am I keeping busy artistically? I'm watching stuff on TV. I'm a big sports guy, but there hasn't been any sports until just recently. So I've dropped all that. I'm reading books. Obviously, we're working out, getting back to nature. And you know what, Catherine? I mean, I wouldn't wish COVID on anybody. It's been a really big change in the world's heartbeat, right?
Yeah.
But for me, and you know how busy I've been, no more on getting on the planes, no more charities, really, no more signings, no more movies. I've been just sitting, not in an airplane, not talking to agents or managers, and for me, that's been a bit of a reprieve. It's been a bit of a relax, and I'm very grateful for that.
Well, it's good to find sort of the silver linings and the things that we would normally not have time for. Of all things, I've been taking acting classes over Zoom, which is an interesting experience, to say the least.
How the hell does that go? Tell me, give me an example.
I don't know, but I've had like freaking breakthroughs and I never expected. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Why am I like, yeah, it's a surprise. And I felt nervous at first, the way that you would feel nervous, just going up and I'm like, why am I nervous? And, but then it's so interesting. It's such an interesting process. And, you even rehearse with people over Zoom, and that is a weird experience.
So
you
good.
You get to know people and bond, even though you've never met. So
Love it. No, I love it. I love it. There's no rules when it comes to art. There's no rules when it comes to acting and directing. And I know, I know that one of the great teachers, Saxon Trainer in LA, she hasn't slowed down one bit. They used to come to her house. They would sit in her back guest house, and she would teach acting for hours upon hours. And some of the great kids that are now starring in movies, I don't know their names, but they go to her, and they should. She's amazing, and she's now doing it all over Zoom, and people haven't stopped. And I can see your really beautiful face right here, right now. You can see me. We can talk. We can share. We can read. The only thing you can't really do that you need to do on your own is film yourself. You know, like these kids, these young actors still need to, in my opinion, even though we're 6 feet apart and stuff, you write stuff. You write short little movies. You put up an iPhone on a tripod, and you put it up there, and you tape yourself, and you're still acting, you're still thinking, you're still getting, you know the lines, then you forget them, and you just be as real as you can. You listen to your other partners who are around the table with you outside. You can still do all of that, certainly in the summertime. So acting just doesn't stop. I just know that theater's having a really rough time. Did you hear about Shaw Festival having pandemic insurance? Did you hear that?
no, they do or they don't?
They do.
Oh,
I heard, my wife read an article, I don't know if it was Globe and Mail, I'm not really sure, but Di told me like a week ago, honey, did you hear about the Shaw Festival? And I go, well, it's probably not good. I mean, the whole thing's
yeah,
shut
that's
down
what
right now. She goes, no, the Shaw Festival took out pandemic insurance, specifically pandemic insurance, like 6 years ago. And yeah, so are they paying their actors and their directors and their costumers? Maybe they are. That's just phenomenal if that's true.
that is
I
amazing.
wondered if you'd heard anything about that.
No, but I'm gonna look into that. That's amazing. If that, like, to have that, who would have thought, right?
Who would have thought? And look at Colin Fiore, my boy Colin Fiore, right? Who was going to open the Patterson Theater at Stratford. That's where I did Macbeth in 1986. It was a small, beautiful 600-seater. They revamped the whole thing. They were going to open it this year. Colin was going to be Richard III, which I just would not have missed. And that's all on hold. It's all been, kind of dreary for the arts.
Right. What is your sort of when you're? I was told that Anthony Hopkins reads his lines 200 times before even attempting to work on a scene, which is a lot. Because I tried to do that and I realized how much that is. How do you approach a scene when you first get it?
First of all, Anthony Hopkins is insane. He's crazy. He's brilliant. I saw him on stage in 1980 in the West End. I'll never forget it. None of us will ever forget Silence of the Lambs. So he's got his own thing. So if Anthony wants to read him 200 times, him and his cat, while he's playing his piano, go right ahead. I don't do that. What do I do? I mean, look, for people who don't know, film and television is very hard. It's very hard. That's why there's not a lot of great actors. That's why people think, oh, I can act. Well, no, you can't. Because for me, as you know, it's always about, at my journey right now and my good run, it's always about the script. I read the script. If I don't like it, it's over. If I like it, then I have a conversation. It's always about the script. It's about the part. And for me, when I decide to do something and we all jump in together, I will break it down. I will break it all down. Where does this guy come from? Where is he going? What's his through line? How does he walk? How does he talk? Like, where is he from? Is he from Pittsburgh? Is he from Sudbury? Like, where is he from? So I don't stop any of those things until I find the core from reading the script over and over and over again, right? Just taking little notes. I mean, I remember, for example, one of the few kids movies I did called The Adventure Club. It was done a few years ago in Regina. Sarah Shack, Shane Poltzlocker, they produced it. They invited me, and I had just the greatest time. And his name was Uncle Ozzy, and he had this like pawn shop, and he had all these trinkets. And from the writing, I realized he probably fixes watches. He probably looks at, so he needs a lot of glasses, a lot. I had 4 pairs of glasses with this guy. Had glasses up there, glasses on, glasses low, glasses long, and I had them on in all the scenes, and people found that hysterical. But I used them at different times. So that was Ozzy's key, was his glasses. But where did that come from? From being a pawn shop owner, from fixing little things. He's a little bit older. He's got, so I don't know. Pardon me?
Behavior, in other words, right?
Yeah, for sure. So and then of course for me, before the scene, as you know, being an actor, people, what makes film so difficult is you never shoot it in order. You saw Jerusalem, right? Did you see Jerusalem? You did, right?
On the Broadway version.
You saw the Broadway version? That's all right. You saw Sir Mark Rylance. I mean, I had dinner with him before I did it, and he just passed me the baton, and it was something that I didn't die on stage, which I really could have. It was one of those, as you said earlier.
Very much is that role.
Incredible. So for me, film is different, because film, you don't start at the beginning and go right to the end. You might shoot the middle first. You might shoot the end. You don't know. So you really have to know where your characters come from, what's happened to him or her, and where they're going. So you have to do all this homework. And then before you start, you need to learn your lines, like you just said. And you need, in my opinion, you need to know them so well that you forget them. You can't be reading your lines in your head, or you'll sound like this, and then that's called acting, and you're done. You and I, Catherine, we don't know what we're going to say. We don't know what we're saying right now, right? That's called really in it. We're in it. We don't know you're listening. You're going to respond in a second. We don't know. That's what film acting has to be, because you can't act. You just have to be. You have to be. You have to, like, be inside that person's skin, and then don't be afraid to fail. That's my biggest thing.
It feels to me like you've got almost this, a lot of people have to really work to get to that point where they find their voice and they're able to just be themselves and within that character. It seems to me like you've got such a strong personality that, have you always had that voice? Have you always been able to just find yourself within that character?
What a great question. No, I don't think I have always had that voice, but I was so ill prepared for the power of theater to hit me when I was 19 years old. I'd never seen a play. I'd never acted in my life. I was going to be a history teacher. I was taking an acting class to meet girls like you, to meet girls, to have fun. I'll pass that class for sure. History was my major. I love history. So I was ready to be a teacher, and I took an acting class, and it changed my life. So for me, I didn't know, I probably always had a voice, but I certainly wasn't using it, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what a soliloquy was. I barely knew what Shakespeare was, but I'm telling you that I was so strong boy, and so unafraid to fail, and wasn't afraid of people going, hey, don't you know what a soliloquy is? Nope, I don't. Let's go. Let's start reading them. Oh, Bernard Shaw. Who's he? How do you say his name? I wasn't afraid to be that little dunce in the corner in that first couple of years of drama, because Tom Kerr, who's gone now, my mentor, he knew I was going to be a movie star. Like he knew it. And people always say I'm blessed, and I am, with these eyes, right? Like eyes are pretty important. You have beautiful eyes. My daughter Brenna has stunning eyes. I mean, they come in handy for film and television, but for theater, which I stuck with forever before I got into television and film, that's the core of acting for me and some of the greats. It all comes from stage. So I don't know if I've always had that voice, but I certainly did find it and wasn't afraid to fail.
What was it about that drama class that, where you felt like, hey, acting is clicking with me?
What was it for you? I mean, what was it for you? Like, do you remember?
I know for me, I liked being able to explore different, because I don't think we're one person. And so for me, it was being able to explore all of that. And then also having a lot of fear, and then being able to overcome that, I think is another.
I think that is remarkable. And I think you're not unlike a lot of young artists, for sure. Yeah, I don't know what it was early, but I got to tell you, I think I was good at it. I think I was good at smoking a cigarette, at learning lines, at being able. I mean, I remember seeing Taxi Driver. I was in my second year university when it came out. And I remember and I just started acting a little bit, and like in class. I remember looking at this guy, De Niro, and he's up there, and I just remember being transfixed and going, I want to do that. I want to do that. Not knowing anything about film and television. Like I'm telling you what, Catherine, there's like for the Sons of Anarchy, like Ron Perlman, right? Like he is a movie savant. Like he knows every movie that was ever made, who starred in them, that Turner Classic Movie Channel. He knows all the movies. I wasn't like that. I was playing sports. I was skating. I was playing hockey. I was building muscle cars. Perlman came from movies. I never did. Whatever your background is. So there's no rhyme or reason why people find art, but if they're good at it and they pursue it and they follow their bliss, like Joseph Campbell always, like he's my boy. I read Power of Myth is still one of my favorite books ever. If you do that, you have, I think, a pretty, and it was fun. I mean, come on, having 100 people in the little small black box in University of Saskatchewan to the Greystone Theater, which had 325 people, we packed them in. We packed them in. Sexual Perversity in Chicago, David Mamet. I starred as Bernie Lipko in that. My first scene, I walk out in Speedos, stomach hanging over my Speedos, and my first line is, what do you got to do to get a drink in this place? Come on a cracker? I mean, and I got to do that in front of 350 people every night, and the laughter and the sunglasses and Mamet and his poetry. Come on, like really powerful stuff.
The fun is definitely a big part of the appeal, right? And kind of losing yourself in it too, I think. When this moment, you don't even know what happened. And you know, you started off in theater and did theater for quite a long time before you've gotten into film and TV. Like, what was it about theater and wanting to do it for a long time that appealed to you?
When I graduated with my Bachelor of Arts and Science at the university in 1981, so old. I only came from theater. I mean, I'd done 25 plays in 4 years, which included summer stock. Think about that, 25 plays. That's like my daughter Brenna graduated New York University Tisch Acting Academy. They didn't do 25 plays in 4 years. I mean, 25 plays. Are you kidding me? So I only knew theater, and I knew I needed more and more. So when I signed on with a really big agent in Toronto, Gary Goddard, he's gone now, but he signed me right away through Susan Wright. She's gone now. One of my, Grant Carver just passed away. I mean, there's a lot of people who were gone. It's very kind of reflecting sad time. But Susan introduced me to Gary Goddard, and he looked at me, and I was just this, 6'1" tough guy who had these, like, you've done this and did that. We're going to get you in the film right away. And I went, nope, no, you're not. He goes, what do you mean? I go, no, I'm not ready. I want to do more theater. I have to do more theater. And so he was kicking me around, and I just did Thunder Bay. Halifax was my jumping off. I did 11 plays at the Neptune Theater there. Then John Neville saw me, brought me to Stratford, youngest Macbeth ever. I was 26 when I played Macbeth in 1986. And then New York agents saw my work, and they said, you've got to come to New York right now. So at the time I had left Gary Goddard, I signed on with a gal called Gail Abrams, who I'm still with today, my Canadian agent. And I went down to New York, and before you know it, I'm starring on Broadway, and I'm playing Dracula in Atlanta, and Les Liaisons d'Anjou in Louisville, Kentucky, and then Hollywood. I started getting these auditions with Warner Brothers, and did 3 big films right in a row, and got my green card with Waterworld, and I just haven't looked back.
You're quite famous for playing pretty intense characters, right? And
Rumor has it. Rumor has
Rumor
it.
has it.
It's out there, Catherine.
Why do you think those are the characters that find you, and how do you find love for them?
You know, great question. Look, people have heard this before, but I remember meeting Gary Oldman when I was on Broadway, and he was doing a movie there with a good buddy of mine, Matt Craven. And I remember I'm meeting Gary a couple of times, and we were being, kind of standoffish with one another. Nice though, it was good. I subsequently hung with him a couple of times, had a great time. But I said, Gary, can I ask you a question? He goes, yeah. Why is it, do you think guys like you and me, hopefully, are going to like getting these incredible, twisted, dark? He goes, I give good creep. I give good creep. I happen to give good creep. And I think I give good creep. And you know this, like I have cheekbones, blue eyes, busted nose, too big for my face. Oh, you're not the guy next door. Oh, you're not De Niro. De Niro always said, you're going to get typecast no matter what and who you are. If you're the blonde, beautiful girl, you're going to be typed. If you're the tough guy, like you're going to get, I was tough guy until he started doing comedy much later in his career. And so don't be afraid of that. And so I was not afraid of that, but I did. I got a lot of tough guys. And I think for me, your last part of your question was, how do you find the goodness in them or the heart in them
or the love for
or the love for them? Catherine, I say no to a lot of things. I'm not going to play a pedophile. I'm not going to play a rape. I say no to a lot of things. Just, they don't interest me. But the darker elements in human psyche, they come from somewhere. I've read the script. One chance I took was with Tig Traeger on Sons of Anarchy. When you say you're going to go along on that ride with Kurt Sutter, and he said, and I go, I turned it down first. I said, he's too, you got to show me something. He showed me a little bit. He was so dark. He was so psychotic. I said, it's not for me. And he looked at me and he said, Kim, please come along on this ride, because if we get lucky and we go year after year, your character is going to be so funny and so heartwarming, psychotic, crazy for sure, toughest guy in the club, but he's going to cry. He's going to end up being the moral compass of the club with Tommy Flanagan, and he held true to that. Tommy and I were the only ones who survived that entire 7 seasons. And so that was, when you take a leap of faith when you do a TV show, because you don't know really where that character is going to go. I've always been lucky enough, read the play, say yes, say no. Read the movie, say yes, say no. But a TV show, and none of us saw the success of that show coming the way it did, and it hit us like a brick. It was like, whoa. Overnight, Catherine, we'd pull into that lot at 20th Century Fox, and in the first year, you couldn't find a fan within 20 miles. By the middle of the 3rd season, there was hundreds. Security guards opening. Come on in, Kim. You're driving. I can't. Like, it was crazy. It was just crazy. So I don't even know what the question was now, but.
Well, do you find that, you're saying, is it your gut that decides, or is it like, you read the script and you love the character, or do you love the story more, or do you love the people that you're going to work with? Like,
those are all super, super important, obviously, at the beginning stages. Like for Brenna, my daughter, she was in Jerusalem with me. I was so lucky I had to wait for her. She was on Broadway winning an Obie and a Drama Desk Award for The Wolves, this incredible play that just exploded at the Lincoln Center. And she did that character for like a year and a half, I think. So I waited for her. She came to be on stage with my daughter. It's been like a dream of mine since we knew Brenna was going to be an actor. So it's everything. It's everything. It's a script first. It's always the script first. Then who's producing it, who's directing it, and then who's in it. Like I'm not afraid of anyone to act with, like I've never really worried one way or the other. It's always a bonus if it's someone I like or I'm a fan, but I'm much more.
You hate?
Huh?
What if it's someone you hate? Is that?
Yeah. I've never really, only one time, I think in all the movies and TV I've done, has there been like, me saying to somebody, if you don't treat the crew a little bit better, I'm going to knock you out. I'm just going to knock you out. And he changed his attitude really quickly. He's an American actor who was just too big for his britches, and he was a big movie of the week guy. And he was doing this movie called, oh wow, what was it called? The Tunnel? Can't remember, but it was a long time ago, mid-90s in Toronto. I'm just starting to take off in a way, and he came in, and yeah, it was with Carrie Ann Moss and me, and he just was, I'm going to knock you out. And that, but I've been lucky. I really haven't had, I've been with screamers, yellers as directors, and they're boring, boring. I've never been around any kind of sexual harassment deal. Otherwise, I would have, said something and ended up beating somebody up. I'm sure I've seen none of that. So I'm lucky in all my career, and I'm glad it's come to the forefront, because that's got to stop. Weinstein's he's just got to die. I mean, that stuff's got to stop now. And I'm happy for that, to bring that to the forefront more. And everyone, there's all kinds of classes we all take now, and talkings too, that everyone gets now. You just can't run around slapping anyone's bum, and those days are over, and thank God. So yeah, no, it's always about the part first for me, the part, and then the script, and then the director and the producers, and then the actors. That's pretty much the.
Right. So what was it like working with Michael Dowse in Goon and Goon 2?
Terrible. I had such a shitty time. I just never, ever, have you met Michael?
Yeah, total asshole.
He's a total. I couldn't believe when I met him in LA how funny he is. Like, forget about all the brilliance of his acting and directing chops. He's funny. He's super funny. And what he and Jay did, which I had never seen to such a level, is, of course, there was a script, Catherine. Of course, we all read it. Of course, we all put our hands up. And I was too old to be a player, but I was just perfect age for the coach, John Tortorella. I based it on him and a good buddy of mine, Bill Lindsay, who lives in like Niagara Falls area. And I studied coaching. I mean, I've been in the game. But Michael Dowse and Jay, we did more improv on that script than I've ever done in my life. It literally was, we'll shoot one the way it's written, we'll shoot one, and then we'll just shoot another, and then another, and Michael and Jay would, whatever you want, Coatsy. And I just would make shit up. And half the time, that's the stuff that stayed in the movie. Michael Dowse, I had a scene in the first movie, Catherine, where late at night, the boys are sucking, they can't beat anybody, and I get on a bus, and I start ripping them a new asshole about how they're playing and about baseball. This isn't fucking baseball. And I remember not wanting to scream at all. I remember wanting to just be like hardcore low, like this. You fucking put, like, stuff like that. And we did it a few times. And then Michael just comes up to me, and we're outside. It's kind of cold. The boys are in the bus. He goes, okay, throw them a bone right now. Just yell the whole thing. Let's wake them up. The boys are a little asleep on the bus right now. Not from your acting. It's just late. Just go. I stepped on that fucking bus. I put my foot up. I screamed the whole thing, and everyone just went, whoa. And that's what was in the movie. So you never know. But when Michael Dowse got headset on, watching the monitors, and then you go back and you film the guys, how are you going to edit this? How are you going to cut it? Which take are you going to use? And so for him to give me the freedom to ad-lib pretty much right throughout that entire script, even though the script was so amazing, that was pretty special. And as he's a Canadian icon to me.
I think he's definitely one of our best.
Have you worked with him yet, Catherine? Have you worked
I have
with
not.
him yet?
No, I have not worked with him. I just like his work. I'm just a fan.
I'm a fan too.
What about Robert Cuffley? I remember his first movie that I saw, I think it was Walk All Over Me, and I'm like, this guy has a voice and he's crazy. And you worked with him on Ferocious.
Baby, you're so right. No, you just go ahead. Talk more about what you know about Robert, because
I don't know too much about him. This is me judging it from his work. I may have met him like a long time ago, but I know you worked in Saskatoon with him too, right? So
he was the kindest, funniest, big glasses, curly hair, way curlier than mine, just hair everywhere. And he again knew what he had in me and Michael Eklund and Amanda. He just wanted us to be and feel safe in this thriller, this odd, twisted little thriller. And I played twins in that movie. I remember when I read the script, it was my agent Gail, and this is when agents can really be worth their grain of salt. Like they really, I shouldn't say this, but they couldn't really afford me, but the script was so cool and it was Canadian, it's in Saskatoon. Of course I'm going to do it. But Gail said, what might make this even better for you, Coatsy, is why don't you play the brother as well? So when I read this, have you seen the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when Sal was the main guy, and then his brother, who's a real asshole, like real slimy. But man, I changed my hair for him, and I had a bit of a mustache before I shaved that. We shot him first. I stuck my stomach out. I was a smoker, Altoids, pervert, like awful guy. And then to get rid of him and then play his ultra creepy, sexy brother Sal, that was just like a genius move. And Robert let me do that, and I love doing it. And again, these are the artists, these guys like Cuffley. Dowse is taken off down in LA. Robert's just an incredible writer, director, living in Calgary, doing his thing. I wonder how all my boys and girls are doing during this time, this slow down time. I mean, I know they're writing. Hopefully they're getting some help here and there. They've got some investments that can help them through this next year or so, because we were on a real high with those film festivals, as you know. Calgary was exploding. Whistler was taking off. BC's up. Vancouver's always had a big one. Toronto's the biggest in the world. And now they're all gone. They're all done for now. And these are the movies that you're talking about, these Ferocious, the Adventure Club. They go to festivals. That's where beautiful people like you and your peeps and your fans and my fans can see some really cool work and talk about art, because and I don't want to be a hypocrite because I'm in big movies too, but big movies are just taking all the screens these days, all the Marvel and the DC and all that. There's no room for Ferocious at the movie theaters anymore, or Cold Brook that I did with Billy Fichtner, right? You got to have film festivals, and you got to sell it, then it's got to go to, on Amazon or Hulu or Showtime TV. That's where you sell your movies these days, to be seen, to make your money back. So,
well, at least I think what this pandemic kind of made very clear is that how important is art, because that's what people went to, right? As soon as, what are they going to do? Well, they're going to read books, they're going to watch movies. Hamilton came out, some musicals.
Yeah.
So I think it's something we talk about a lot at First Weekend Club is also, how, because these films aren't being released, but neither are the big ones.
Correct.
They're sort of on a level playing field. Not quite, because the marketing budgets are still so much higher for the big films, but there is a little bit of an equilibrium in terms of people discovering these films.
I agree. I totally agree. In fact, I'm glad you brought that up, because I remember back in April, it's just been hit hard for that first month, mid-March. Like, it's just been crazy. Like, what's going on? And is it going to be done in the summertime? And people weren't sure what it was. And you couldn't touch a coffee cup. You couldn't, we found out a lot more now about the COVID thing. But I remember Sarah Shack and Bill Fichtner, my good buddy, my best buddy, calling me up going, Coatsy, I think on Twitter, because I have so many followers, I think we better let people know how to watch Cold Brook. Because if you were ever going to stream it for $3.99, this is the time, because it is such a beautiful, heartwarming, for everyone type of story. So I always, and I'm very, this about me, I'm very careful. I'm not a salesman. I'm more about safety. I'm more about thanking all our nurses and doctors and first responders and ambulance and police and everybody, firemen, to keeping us safe during that time. But if you have a nickel or a dime and you want to come home and go on a journey that's an hour and a half of love and doing the right thing, check out Cold Brew. You know what I mean? Like and they did. I remember, you know, our producers and our investors get money every 3 months. And I think that little bit really did help. So yeah, get the word out there for all these incredible little indie films. Now's the time to watch them.
Exactly. And, you know, I'm sure you've been asked this question before, but, you know, you work a lot in the US, but also in Canada. What would you say are the key differences? In what ways does it feel different for you to be working here in Canada versus the US?
You know, I left and then returned. Like I went to America in the early 90s. I was in New York. I had an apartment in New York. I had a little beach house in Venice. I had a house in Toronto. I had no money. I was just, you know, I just was all on rent, and my beautiful wife who supported me let me follow my bliss. And she had Kyla in 1989 and then Brenna in 1993. So she was being the best mom on the planet. And I was paying for stuff here, there, and everywhere. But America, LA was New York. There's nothing like New York. I love Toronto. I love Vancouver. I love Halifax for theater, but New York is New York. You can't compare that energy to anything. Broadway was phenomenal for me. LA is a bit scary, to tell you the truth, for film and television. I mean, it's I always tell this to the young actors like you. I always go, don't be in a rush to go from Thunder Bay to Toronto. Don't be in a rush to go from Saskatoon to Vancouver. Go to Edmonton. Like stay within your comfort zone as you become good. As you become good. If I told you how many young freaking wannabe actors, I'm going to LA, man. I can. Well, you're not going to make it. It's going to be a failure for you. Unless you are so beautiful and so lucky and have so much nepotism working in your favor, you're done. You won't be seen. No one gives a shit about you. However, if you came from the Cherry Orchard in Seattle and then did, 12 Good Angry Men in Seattle and had a resume and learned how to act with your peers, and then you moved to LA with a little bit of money in the bank and a little bit of acting chops, you have a shot. But LA will eat you up. I've seen LA eat up more artists than ever before because it's lonely. New York, you can walk to people, you can subway to people, there's bars. LA is so spread out. You need a car. You have to have money. You better be sleeping on someone's couch because you're going to need money early in your career. So LA for me, there was a vibe, a buzz that I'll never forget when I first went on that studio. Warner Brothers was my studio early. And I felt very strong but small. Like it was a cigar smoking, big ass, major movies were being done on those lots. So that's the difference. Crew wise, Canada's better. Canadian crews are better. You know why they're better? Because they shut up, because they're not full of themselves, because they really want to learn, and they are. And we have some of the best crews in the world now. I want to work with the best directors, whether you're Michael Bay or Michael Dowse. I just want to work with the best directors. I don't care where I go. Like right now so those are the biggest differences. I feel more at home in Canada. Mm-hmm. I'm Canadian. I love it here. There's 38 million people versus 360% of them are beautiful people down there, and 40% of them are all idiots. They're all fucking idiots. They're completely moronic idiots. They have no idea what the world is, what America is. And that country's going down. It's going down, and it's sad to see. So November 3rd can't come quick enough to save the whole thing down there. In the meantime, I'm so happy to be back in Canada full time and still doing my charities, this way. I got the big Pegasus thing in Saskatchewan for Stars Ambulance, and Jan Arden and I still did a golf tournament virtually in Canmore this past month. I love her. You love Jan. I mean, everyone loves Jan, right? She's the funniest, most talented chick, rock star. Love her. So look, I'm still doing my thing, and this will get easier, but it's not going to be next month. It's not going to be Christmas. It's going to be a year or two for us to figure this whole COVID thing out. So hang in there.
What kind of films would you like to see Canadians produce more of?
I don't know, but I'm always happy when stuff like Bad Blood, which was so Canadian, Vito Rizzuto, Montreal, the first series, the first season was all based on pretty much truths. Second season was pretty much made up by Michael Conovis, the brilliant Michael Conovis. Produced by Mark Montefiore, there's no one better than him, and Natalie Rodriguez over at Rogers. It was sad to see that thing not happen for a third season, but to answer your question, can you hear the jets? Nice to see jets flying again. Got my earbuds on. Anyway, to see Bad Blood, Catherine, the success of that show around the world, so for people around the world to go, oh, well, they have more than igloos there. Oh, they have more stories than what I'm about a tree, or about indigenous, and about the white people, and about this and that. To see different, and I'm not saying that some of those other stories are not riveting, but to get out of our own way and shoot something so
Universal.
Violent and universal and sexy and well written, and not being afraid of who we are. Like, we shot the thing in Montreal and Sudbury. We didn't go to New York. We stayed right here in Canada and shot Montreal for Montreal and win all those awards. I'm telling you, that's what I want to see. I want to see more comedy. Schitt's Creek, huge hit, Canadian. I just want to see better written, dark comedies, who we are. There's stories out there that are not Canadian, but as Canadians, we can tell and be, as you just said, to your point, universally accepted, and people are going, that's what interests me.
That's what I want to make too. I want to make things that
go do it. Go do it, girl.
Yeah.
Go do it.
And what you seem like a pretty proud Canadian. What do you love most about being Canadian?
We're different, like it really is about we up here. It's not I, it's we, and we got a lot of problems up here too. Let's not kid ourselves. We can do better with so many things. Black Lives Matter, and most of the cops are really good cops, but the dirty ones need to be out, slapped, in jail. Can't put up with that anymore. Trudeau, who I'm a fan of, he's got to do better with the West. He really does. The West has to not fall on its face now that oil's kind of not happening. They've got to rediscover who they are. And this whole, we're going to separate. No, you're not. You're not Alberta and Saskatchewan, Manitoba. You're not going to have your own country. You're not. But we need to figure you guys out. And the East needs to figure out the West. You know me, like, everyone knows who I am now. I can't go anywhere. It's kind of great wearing a mask now. People don't recognize it. Like, that's
but
the
you
one.
got the eyes, so.
But it's the one good thing about, this, and no one knows who I am half the time, which is kind of great for me. But I get pained when the East doesn't understand the West and the West doesn't understand the East. I have a lot of friends all over this country, and I will pound a fist as hard as I can to keep us all together. It used to be just Quebec. It used to be Quebec's going to leave. I mean, God, all those years of fuck off. You're not going anywhere. Stop it. We'll figure it out. Stop it. Well, we kind of have. Now we got to figure out the West. Who knew? I mean, all those decades upon decades, way before you were born, you were a baby. Alberta really gave a lot of money back to support the country because they were making more money that they even knew what to do with. Now they're not anymore. We need to figure that out. And Saskatchewan out. And this there's no room for ultra right politics in this country. It's got to be down the middle, liberal conservatives down here or up here. We can come together much easier than they can in the States, and we need to figure it out. So I'm the proudest Canadian that you're ever going to talk to. I mean that from the bottom of my heart, but we're staying together. So we got to figure it out.
Right.
Got to figure it out.
It's like a relationship.
It's like a relationship.
What's the best advice you've ever been given by another actor or director?
I don't know about the best advice, but I will say that Bruce Willis, in my very first movie for Hollywood called The Last Boy Scout, that scene, I'm only in 2 scenes in the whole movie, but the one scene where he kills me and I slap him around a bit, it's shown all over America in acting schools as to how to steal a scene from a movie star. That's what I did in that movie. I stole that scene, according to all these people. And it makes me, Bruce is a buddy of mine, so it's all good. But when I said goodbye to Willis, I walked into his Winnebago and he invited me in. He didn't get up. He just stayed laying down on his couch. Shook my hand, though. He said, you got it. You got it. Now just keep it small. Keep it small. And that's all he said. And I walked out and I thought, keep it small. Like, what the fuck? But what he was saying is, you have so much going on in your eyes, and the little I know you, Kim, and what you did in this movie. Keep it small. You don't have to do it. Just be. I think that's what he meant. And I always remembered that. Directors, you know what, Catherine? I've been so lucky to work with Tony Scott, the late Tony Scott, Ridley Scott, Michael Bay. I mean, I've worked with all these incredible people, and I don't remember like the best advice, but what I do know the best directors have is they let everyone do their job. If you're starring in a movie with me, they might give us a little bit of feel for this, but they want to see what we're going to bring, and then we'll discuss it. They're going to let the cameraman do his or her work. The hair and makeup, yeah, they'll discuss early, but then let everyone do their job. The directors who get in everyone's way, say the line like this, I don't believe that, like, and the hair is all, they're just trying to do everyone's job. They're going to fail, because at the very least, everyone's going to just feel, well, I don't want to work with that person ever again, or why are they making it so uncomfortable for everybody? Ridley Scott on Black Hawk Down, that movie, 5.5 months that took, right? Ridley Scott had a book, Catherine, that was about this big, and every page was 4 things that he had drawn that he was going to shoot in the whole movie. So his whole art book of the whole movie was in this book, and it had its own chair. Ridley Scott, when he loves Morocco, he shot Gladiator there. He just loves Morocco and the Moroccan people, as I do too. Stunning people and beautiful people, and the country. Have you been to Morocco ever?
I actually worked on Jack Ryan in Morocco, so that was not as an actor, but as yeah.
I'm so happy to hear that.
That
What
was
year? What year was that?
That was just like 3 years ago. So Jack Ryan, the show with John Krasinski.
Wow, baby, good for you. So you got a feel of Morocco. I don't know what it's like now. I was here in 2001, but those Atlas Mountains and Marrakesh and Fez and Rabat and where we were and what we got to do, it's like I'll never forget it. Anyway, Ridley just let everybody do their thing, and it was. I remember when Sam Shepard showed up. He doesn't fly, but he had to fly because we couldn't get the helicopters, and they were delayed. And then we got the helicopters, and the Defense Department said, you've got them for a minute and a half, and then they're going to come back to America. So Sam was going to play, the big general in that whole thing. They told Sam, well, we're going to recast because we have no time to get you over in a boat. He came by plane. He took a lot of narcotics, a lot of tranquilizers, and he was just completely buzzed out. When he showed up, really only had 1 day to give him to kind of rest. And then he was in front of all of us, Ewan McGregor, Eric Bana, me, Tom Sizemore, Billy Fichtner. We were Josh Hartnett. We were all in this room, and we all knew Sam. We all loved Sam. I've done two of his plays. I couldn't wait to meet him. I played golf with him. He was such a good buddy of mine. Sorry, he's gone now too. Wow. Anyway, to see Ridley be so caring and caressing, to letting Sam, because Sam couldn't remember his lines, and all of us were like, maybe we shouldn't look at him because we felt for him, and he was just so tired. But Ridley just took him aside, had a drink, smoked a cigar, a little cigarette, came back, and took his time. And to see Ridley let everyone do their job to the best of their ability, that's the kind of director you really want to work with.
That's a really great, it's a great takeaway.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is the best. The best people are the ones who can find the best people and enable them to do the best, I think. Yeah. So as you've gone through this journey of being an actor, what have you learned about yourself, and how have you changed or evolved?
You know, I think how I've changed or evolved most is how do you, and this was not part of the plan, but how do you deal with celebrity? Like I always knew, excuse me, I always knew that I would do this until I was gone or I'd get out of it because it didn't interest me anymore. But it wasn't for lack of talent or lack of trying. So I knew that that was going to work. How my stage career blossomed into the film career, which blossomed into the TV career, that really worked out. I'm a very lucky boy. I've worked very hard, and I guess I was good enough to have a pretty good run. But the celebrity side of things, these incredible signings that I go to where my charity makes some money, I make a little bit of money, everyone's there who can't wait to see me or whoever they're there to see with. You can't believe these things unless you're there. The amount of crying and love and all that stuff. So, and then now you can't walk down the street or have dinner because of Sons of Anarchy and Bad Blood in my movies. It really is on. So I think for me, I've really changed into trying to understand when I'm eating, I'm not taking a picture. You're gonna have to come back. I need my space. I can't go to Vegas because there's too many drunk people there. I won't go to Vegas anymore. And once you take one picture with a drunk person, there's 100 that come out of and they're touching you, and it's just so that's not cool for me. But I enjoy my fans that recognize my work, or that I'm Canadian, or that they liked something I was in. I have time for all of them, but it's a different life when you get recognized all the time, like it's happened to me. And I guess people would say, "Oh, you should be grateful," and I am. Oh, you should, I thank them for being fans because I wouldn't be paid what I'm paid, or the job if people didn't think that there's fans out there that can't wait to see Kim Coates in his next thing. So I'm very lucky for all of that. But I've worked really hard, and I've given back to my charities, as you know, and I will continue to do so. And I love giving back.